Tonight, candidates are vying for your vote as we enter the final weekend of the election campaign.
We've really ramped it up over the last couple of weeks.
You know, it's crunch time now, so we're going to as many doors as possible.
While the Liberals battle the Conservatives in the 905, the NDP are putting up a fight in some Toronto ridings. Plus,
certainly our thoughts and prayers are with that individual and their family, and we're hoping for the best possible outcome.
A man is seriously injured in a 3-alarm fire in North York. And drivers, take note. You may need to find an alternate route if you're driving downtown on Sunday. Runners are taking over the streets. Good evening, I'm Talia Ricci. With just days to go before we head to the polls, it's crunch time on the campaign trail. It's a tight race for candidates in multiple Toronto ridings, and it's mostly between the Liberals and NDP. Lauren Pelly reports on the final push.
Hey, I'm Andrew Cash. I'm the NDP candidate.
Andrew Cash is going door to door in Davenport. The NDP candidate knows this riding is a battleground.
We've been flat out working super hard for, most of the campaign, but we've really ramped it up over the last couple of weeks.
Cash won during the Orange Surge in 2011. And now he's up against a one-term incumbent.
The Liberal candidate. Yes, I am.
Liberal Julie Zarowitz is fighting to keep her seat after beating Cash 4 years ago by less than 1,500 votes.
You know, it's crunch time now, so we're going to as many doors as possible.
Since 2015, Toronto has been painted red. The election before, it was a mixed bag with red, orange, and blue. This time around, close races between the Liberals and NDP are expected across the city. All parties, including the Conservatives, are vying for undecided voters. Have you figured out who you're voting for on Monday yet?
No, I haven't.
So what's going to impact your decision?
I honestly feel like I just need to inform myself a bit better, and then that'll be it. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of factors for sure, but I mean, the debate, obviously, and the policies. I haven't decided yet 100%.
Davenport is competitive. I mean, the NDP also traditionally has support in the east end of the city.
This political scientist says the entire GTA is a battleground where the Tories could also scoop up new seats.
Yeah, I mean, there are 338 seats. So no one region and certainly no one riding is going to decide the election.
Lauren Pelly, CBC News, Toronto.
To help get people excited about voting on Monday, community leaders from the Alexandra Park neighborhood held a voting empowerment event. It featured a special guest, Martin Luther King III. He had a special message about the importance of getting young people out to the polls. Kelda Yoon reports.
He took a few minutes to take photos and sign a special drawing before taking to the podium in front of a packed room.
My father used to say that a voteless people is a powerless people. And one of the most important steps that you can take is that short step to the ballot box.
Reminding the audience of his father's words, Martin Luther King III encouraged everyone to cast a ballot on Monday.
And really, I'm talking about young people. When young people stay at home, oftentimes the issues of young people were not raised.
For the young leaders in attendance, King's speech was a good reminder that voting was a right his father had to fight for over half a century ago.
So to get that historical narrative, understanding that, once upon a time we didn't have rights, even in Canada as well. So it's really important that we take advantage now. And even though we weren't sitting in those seats or in the seats as Rosa Parks back then, having him here is important to let us sit in those seats right now.
Community leaders say one of the big reasons that youth in this neighborhood don't vote is because they just aren't aware of what the issues are and how their voice can make a difference. And that's something they're hoping to change.
Samuel Iganu, a community youth activist, led a discussion with a group of mainly young people after King's speech.
And so what we're going to be doing is breaking down what has happened in the city of Toronto over the past 25 years.
Discussing what has changed, the problems that still exist, and what can be done.
Civic engagement back into the classroom. We don't have to tell them who to vote for, but we have to cover the basics.
We need more young people to be a part of leading government, not to wait on the outside. When more young people are involved in leading, I think we will see more young people engaged in voting.
King also encouraging attendees tonight to take to social media to help spread the message to get out and vote. Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
A 3-alarm fire in North York has left a man with serious injuries tonight. Firefighters were called to the York Mills Road and Don Valley Parkway area just before 6 o'clock.
When our crews arrived, they encountered heavy smoke, very quickly made access into and then ultimately made entry into the suite of origin, which was located on the 5th floor of this building. So unfortunately, in the course of their search and rescue and fire suppression operations, we located one patient on the balcony of that suite.
Toronto Fire says the flames were quickly knocked down. The victim was rescued from inside the building and immediately taken to hospital. Fire investigators are still working to determine the cause. A male student from Oakwood Collegiate is in hospital after being shot near his school. It happened around 2:30 this afternoon at St. Clair and Oakwood. The TDSB says the student has serious but non-life-threatening injuries, and the victim actually ran back to the school to get help. There, the vice principal administered first aid. There's no word on suspects. The education minister says he's still trying to hammer out a deal with the province's teachers. This as the clock ticks down to possible job action.
I've instructed my negotiating team to enhance our offerings, to continue to be reasonable, and to demonstrate we want to reach a deal that keeps your child in the class. We just provide a quick update given some of the movements
the government says the biggest sticking point is wage increases. Lecce claims the teachers are seeking a 2% hike. The government wants to cap that at 1%. Both elementary and secondary teachers unions have announced they're filing for conciliation because talks have stalled. Teachers could be in a legal strike position as early as next month. And late this afternoon, the Elementary Teachers Federation put out a statement saying, for the minister to insinuate that salary is some type of fault line in ETFO's negotiations for its teacher and occasional teacher members is wrong and misleading. Nick Sturkovich is here now for a first look at your weekend forecast. And Nick, it's been feeling pretty chilly the last couple of days.
Well, temperatures are warming, Talia, but not before frost tonight. There are frost warnings in some areas across southern and southwestern Ontario, starting from Hamilton, Niagara, all the way down into the Windsor area. For the GTA, surrounding areas could also see some frost through the overnight. This comes under clear skies, though, for tonight. Daytime highs today hit the double digits at 11 degrees. That's pretty close to the seasonal mark, and we're getting even warmer, though, over the long-range forecast. It will come with sunshine, but as I mentioned, clear skies tonight will help to drop our temperatures down below zero in some areas around the Golden Horseshoe. Heading into Saturday afternoon, a little bit of patchy cloud cover, but for the most part, we've got sunshine in the forecast, certainly through Saturday and parts of Sunday as well. Here's a look at your forecast through the next 24. 1 degree in the city of Toronto, but surrounding areas, especially to the east and north, like Markham and Oshawa, seeing temperatures drop down below the zero mark. Tomorrow, 13 degrees and even warmer in the long range. Your full forecast in just a bit.
Thanks, Nick. Halton police have made an arrest in the murder of an elderly man over the summer.
Certainly did nothing to deserve this or bring this upon himself, and it's an absolute tragedy.
91-year-old Edmund Ferrari was found collapsed outside his retirement home in Oakville in August. Police say he died from blunt force trauma to the chest. Investigators announcing today they've arrested 23-year-old Dazel Henry of Brampton. He was in custody at the time at the Toronto West Detention Centre on unrelated charges. Henry is now facing a first-degree murder charge.
At this point, we do not have a defined motive in this matter, and that remains a part of the ongoing investigation.
Police say Ferrari and the accused did not know each other. Investigators are crediting members of the community for helping them make an arrest. The CBC is among a handful of media who saw a 9-hour surveillance video shown to the jury this week at a gang sexual assault trial. The former owner and manager of the College Street Bar faced multiple charges in the alleged assault 3 years ago. The judge initially restricted access to the video. The CBC asked him to release a portion to get a better sense of what happened. Today, they agreed. Taylor Simmons has the details for us, and a warning: some viewers may find these details disturbing.
Just before midnight in December 2016, the video shows a woman whose identity is protected, appearing to be increasingly intoxicated, slumped in a chair at the College Street Bar. This 9-hour surveillance video is key evidence at a trial where the jury must decide whether she consented or had the capacity to consent to sex acts with 2 men that night. Gavin McMillan, the former bar owner, and Enzo de Jesus Carrasco, the bar manager, are facing charges of gang sexual assault, administering a stupefying drug, and forcible confinement. De Jesus Carrasco faces 2 additional charges of sexual assault. They've both pleaded not guilty. The jury has spent days watching the video from the time the woman entered the bar to when she left. The Crown says it's meant to show the full picture of the evening. The judge agreed to release portions of the tape, quote, so the public can see justice is being done. In it, De Jesus Carrasco can be seen leading the woman over to the bar after he served her multiple drinks. The CBC obtained text messages from around this time, one from De Jesus Carrasco to McMillan saying, she's dead, dead, dead. I am dealing with it. The Crown alleges he'd set up cocaine, and as the night continued, he put his hands down her pants multiple times. De Jesus Carrasco and McMillan can also be seen placing her head over the bar, allegedly to consume more cocaine. Later, the woman is led to the basement washroom where there are no cameras. McMillan can be seen carrying down more trays of what the Crown says is cocaine. After they emerge, over the next few hours, multiple sex acts take place in various areas of the bar. The final parts of the tape show the woman getting dressed before she and De Jesus Carrasco leave together. The jury is back in court on Monday. The woman at the center of the case is expected to testify later in the trial. Taylor Simmons, CBC News, Toronto.
There are more than 1,900 drug shortages across the country, making it difficult for some people to access their medication. I'm Angelina King. I'll have more on how patients and pharmacies like this one are dealing with it. That's coming up.
The City of Toronto is launching a program to train young people for the local screen industry with a specific focus on young Black adults between the ages of 18 to 29.
We've got great teachers and the experts that we have in the industry now, the tremendous talent the city has. We've got a great industry that has the critical mass necessary and able to take on the challenge of training some additional young people. And we have now a program that brings together people who I gather refer to themselves as young black overachievers.
With the help of community partners, the city has launched the Production Assistant Training Program. It aims to give opportunities to those that are underrepresented in the industry. The 5-week training program provides an opportunity for the Toronto screen industry to become more inclusive and representative of the city's racial and ethnic diversity. The Canadian Pharmacists Association says there are hundreds of drug shortages across the country right now, adding that more than 175 of those were reported since the federal election was called last month. They're hoping the issue is addressed by whoever becomes prime minister. For now, it's left some people struggling to access their medication. Angelina King reports.
These are the 3 Buscopan that I have left. I'm really worried that this is all I have.
About 3 weeks ago, Lyndon Palmer was admitted to the hospital and prescribed Buscopan for severe stomach pain. But when she went to fill it at her pharmacy in Orangeville,
the pharmacist said, I'm sorry, we just can't get that.
Palmer says they called 5 other places before she was able to get a bottle. But when it's done, she'll have to switch to something else because of a shortage.
This one's for fibromyalgia.
Palmer's concerned the new drug won't react well with some of her other medication.
The added stress of just having a Buscopan not available, it makes you balloon the worry that ones that are keeping you alive won't be there.
Palmer says her elderly mother and sister had a similar experience. Their blood pressure medications weren't available at a pharmacy in Brampton.
I thought, this is not, it's not $25 and these are not my meds. And they said, well, we can't give you the generic because we don't have them.
Leslie Reisinger says she had to pay $20 more for the brand name, which she can't get refilled. She's already been prescribed a 3rd drug.
The Canadian Pharmacists Association says right now there are more than 1,900 drug shortages across the country, and this pharmacy in Toronto says it's typically short about 4 to 5 different medications each day, and pharmacists here say it's been getting worse over the last few months.
Sometimes we have to ration, like if we only have 1 bottle left and it's like gold.
She says pharmacists have to get creative to accommodate patients.
Instead of concentrating on more important things, which is care, we have to deal with the actual product.
The Pharmacists Association says there are a lot of factors behind the shortage, including manufacturing issues and a shrinking market for some drugs, but wants more research done to help find solutions. Angelina King, CBC News, Toronto.
It's been so long since I've finished a marathon that I really just want to go out and have a positive experience.
More than 26,000 runners will hit the streets this weekend for the 30th annual Scotiabank Toronto Waterfront Marathon. And for some, there's a pretty big prize that could await them. We'll explain coming up.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
Thousands of runners will hit the streets Sunday for the Scotiabank Waterfront Marathon. For Canada's elite runners, the stakes are high. The top male and female finishers will earn a guaranteed spot on the Olympic team. Lorenda Redicott met two of the top challengers on the men's side.
He's just 23 years old. He's never raced a marathon or even a half, but Rory Linkletter has the confidence.
I have the ability to endure, to suffer in this race and to compete, and I know that I've done the training.
He had a university scholarship based on his speed for a shorter distance, the 10K. He's originally from Calgary, though mainly grew up in the U.S. Now he's running full-time and is sponsored.
And I grew up tiny.
But running wasn't his first choice.
I would have loved to have played football for my high school team, and I was a tiny little grade 9er and decided I'd go out for this thing called cross country.
Now he's hoping to make Canada's Olympic team, either through being the fastest Canadian this weekend or qualifying later. And seeing history made last weekend with the first person to ever run a marathon in less than 2 hours inspires him.
If a human can run 1 hour and 59 minutes, why should I be so intimidated by trying to run 12 minutes slower?
I've done this race twice.
Another top Canadian is looking to revive his career.
This is like a nice gradual downhill, and people will really start running faster, but that's so early in the race.
Dylan Wykes came in 20th at the Olympics in 2012, but hasn't raced a marathon since. He suffered injuries, was semi-retired, but in the past year, since moving to Ottawa, started training seriously again.
It's been so long since I've finished a marathon that I really just want to go out and have a positive experience. You know, deep down, there's definitely that desire to make another Olympic team.
Oh yeah, good job. But running isn't his sole focus anymore. Married with 2 daughters who will be supporting him on Sunday.
I push one of our kids in the jogging stroller to her daycare, and then I continue on my run, and it's just become a part of life.
The two have some stiff competition, including Cam Levins, who went for a training run with Linkletter today. He was the top Canadian in the race last year, also the first time he'd raced a marathon. Lorenda Redicott, CBC News, Toronto.
And the marathon this weekend means many road closures. Some will start before noon tomorrow and will be in place until 8 p.m. on Sunday. Those include Bay from Dundas to Queen and nearby side streets, including Elizabeth and Albert. On Sunday, a large part of University will be closed for the marathon, and Lakeshore from Mimico to the beaches will also be closed. Nick's back now with a look at your long-range forecast, hoping that frost isn't going to last too long.
Hi, Talia. Well, we'll start with the weather headlines, and I mentioned, of course, the frost for tonight, but the bigger picture is actually bringing with it some warmer weather and actually some good sunshine as well for the weekend. So here's a look at the weather headlines. Frost for tonight, sunshine ahead, and then mild weather heading into the next few days. The big picture looks like this. High pressure in place. That's what's giving us our clear skies. The storm system that brought rain with it a few days ago is now well off to the east. As we move through the forecast into tomorrow, look for sunny skies to start the day. Sunshine for the most part tomorrow. There is a weakening front, though, that's going to approach from the west. And then as we head into Sunday, probably start with a little bit of sunshine, and then into the afternoon, developing cloud cover for Sunday, and on and off clouds and sun through the day on Sunday. More in the way of cloud cover for Monday. But again, pretty good sunshine for the weekend. Winds were also a factor, as you recall, a couple days ago. Pretty light here. One thing that's going to happen, though, as I put this into motion, watch, we've got a northerly wind for Saturday morning, and then we develop a bit of an easterly breeze for Saturday afternoon. That will sort of hinder our temperatures a little bit, especially close to the water, because the water temperatures are much cooler. So as you get further away from the lake, that's where you're going to see the warmer temperatures for tomorrow. For tonight, down in southwestern Ontario. I mentioned those frost warnings. We've got temperatures that will be at or below the 0 mark in a lot of places. For tomorrow, though, good recovery, up to about 15 degrees, and that's pretty much bang on seasonal for southwestern Ontario. Same story as we move through the Golden Horseshoe. Overnight tonight, temperatures coming very close to that 0 mark. In the city, I've got temperatures at 1 degree, but once you move outside the city and certainly into the rural areas, we'll see frost on the ground for tomorrow morning. 13 degrees pretty much everywhere as we move through tomorrow afternoon, and that again is right on the seasonal mark. Sunday looks even warmer. Some developing cloud cover for Sunday, but I would expect to see some sunshine in there as well. Monday, Election Day, look for late day showers, about a 40% chance, but it's more toward the late day. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, unsettled weather moves in. It'll get windy again, and temperatures will drop just a bit. Talia.
Thanks, Nick.
Right beneath your feet, so don't move down. Copy.
2 U.S. astronauts made history today as the first pair of female spacewalkers. The two spent several hours outside the International Space Station working on a broken solar panel. The walk has been in the works since a canceled attempt several months ago when it turned out there was only one spacesuit that fit the women. NASA has since fixed that, saying gender milestones are important. Some call it a giant step for equality. And that's our show for you tonight. Thanks for watching. Maribel Tarouk has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. Have a great weekend.